Welcome to Ties of Faith. I'm your host, Desmet.
And I'm your co-host, Frank Brilliant.
Well, Frank, I got to tell you, you're always looking good when I see you. It's another day. I'm anxious to have our discussions that we always seem to have here in Brilliant City.
Yeah, it's a good place to have those deep discussions.
Today we have a wonderful guest coming to talk about friendship.
Oh, okay. Well, I have a lot of friends. I'm a big believer in friendship.
That's good.
Yeah. In fact, it's kind of an interesting coincidence. My good friend Barney is in town, and he's been out, I think, to Switzerland because we have some mutual bank accounts he had to check on, but he's actually in town today. He might stop by the studio.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
So he's always welcome.
Great. Maybe we'll meet him later.
Well, okay. It's going to be Brother Gabriel talking to us about friendship, so I see him right now. Good to see you, Brother Gabriel.
Hey, nice to see you.
Have a seat here.
Sure.
Hello, Brother Gabriel. Frank here.
How's it going, Frank?
Yeah, it's going good. I'm living here in Brilliant City, and we have a lot of friends.
Nice.
Yeah, it's important. Community. I'm a big believer in community. 90% of the people in Brilliant City work for me.
So that makes you a pillar of the community.
I would say so, and I call them all my friends.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, a lot of friends.
Frank, can I tell you something about Brother Gabriel, though?
Yeah, please do.
And there's more in the world than just you, Frank. I know you're important, but well, Brother Gabriel is a member of the Dominican Friars, and here in the Bay Area, and he chose to dedicate his life to service to the church.
I did.
It's wonderful to see you, and so I'd like to hear, and I know Frank, he's a good listener at times, but what we do, he and I like to hear people's faith journeys. So could you tell us about your journey in faith?
Absolutely. I was born in New Mexico, which is culturally a Catholic state here in the United States, but I wasn't raised particularly Catholic. I went through my initial catechism lessons and prayers with my grandmother, and then I went to the parish and started doing my first communion classes. But around that time, my family kind of fell away from the church a bit, and I didn't pick up my faith again until I was about 21.
Oh.
In the middle of that time, I went to high school and went to college, went to Texas A&M under the Marine Corps scholarship. And
so you went to college under a Marine Corps scholarship?
I did.
That's interesting.
I wanted to be an officer of Marines when I was younger, and then things happened while I was at Texas A&M. There were some tragedies and personal struggles, and I started to take human life and all of God's creation a lot more seriously. And so I left that life, went back home, and within the year I was in the seminary studying to be a priest.
What a call that was then, huh? I mean, were there things that at Texas A&M that you considered to be kind of formative in your development as a Christian?
Absolutely. One of the things that I was being trained to do there was, as I said, lead men, to be an officer Marines. And it focuses very heavily not only on leadership, but also on team building, on building friends, kind of like the friends that you have.
Yeah, Semper Fi. I mean, we're thinking of adopting that logo.
Hoorah. And so
nicely done, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. And so really what happened was my mind, I guess, was formed on the idea of the importance of friendship, the importance of community, the importance of team building. And as I was progressing through my seminary training, I decided to step back from that for a while, and then I entered a religious order. I'd say primarily because in a religious order you have a group of people who are intentionally dedicated to follow Christ and Him crucified for the sake of the church, for the sake of the mission of the gospel. And I found that very attractive, and so I'm here.
So you deliberately wanted to be in a community of others so that you had the body of Christ around you. Well, let's talk about the Christian concept of friendship. What is it all about?
Absolutely. Well, when I was at Texas A&M, there's a great example of what I think Christian life is all about. We were having this race. It was a big relay between all the different outfits, and you're supposed to run a certain distance as an entire unit. Everybody begins, everybody finishes, and that's how your time is calculated. So leave no man behind. Well, as we're progressing through this race, one of our numbers was starting to lag behind. He was starting to really suck wind and have a hard time finishing the race. So what we did as a group of friends, a community, our outfit, we locked arms, brought him along with us, and finished the race. And we finished it first for everybody else.
Is that right? So,
Absolutely.
So you went back and you didn't let that straggler get into a real mess of failure and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. At the time, I had no idea what this meant in the larger scheme of human life. But as time has gone on, and as I've seen the life from the perspective of the Holy Spirit, from God's point of view, so to speak, I was able to see how this is an example of how our Lord doesn't leave the sheep behind, right? He's the good shepherd, and he'll leave everybody else to go get the one.
It's amazing.
So we went and got the one.
Yeah. So what did you determine are there kind of levels of this Christian friendship that we really should think about, or is it just, how would you think, what do you think about that?
Absolutely. I think that keeping that example in mind, we had a friend, we had a compatriot, someone who we liked to be around. And the ancient Greeks identified this sort of relationship, this relationship of liking the other person's company, as a relationship of eros. It was pleasurable, it was good to be around this person. So we liked his company. So as a result, this developed into something more. We had a common ground. The common ground in this instance was to finish the race.
You and the Marine unit.
This group. Yeah, we had this common goal. And so in order to achieve this common goal, we had to lock arms. We had to close ranks. And this was not simply for us to finish the race, because the race had a greater purpose. The greater purpose of this race was to become better at what we do, to become a better team, to become a better unit. It had a team building aspect to it. So it was something outside of itself, to make ourselves better.
You know, I love that language.
It's great language.
You know, I mean, team building, all for one, one for all, help each other, move along. You know, we have that, we adopt that in our corporate culture. That team building, we sometimes go out for picnics, sometimes we play broom ball, and it really helps build kind of this common team bonding thing, because we all have a common goal, which is to produce more units and make the company more profitable, and then of course, make the best ties possible. This tie I have on today is an example, one of the skillfully developed ties created by our team, and that would not have been possible without the language and the concepts that you're talking of, Brother Gabriel. So it's great to hear that validated by someone of your stature.
I think it's perfectly awesome because what you're doing is you're building upon this basic core need of human people to come together to build something better. Right. And hopefully what they're trying to build better is a better community, a better life, better families, better society.
Oh yeah.
And even better ties sometimes.
Well, of course, we can always get better ties. And in fact, I think Barney's here. And is it okay, Irv, if I bring Barney?
Sure. Get ready for this.
Hey, Barney, come on up.
Wow! Holy moly!
Yeah. So this is my friend Barney.
I think he's got a leg.
What's up?
I'm going to have to get this leg.
Yeah, no,
Make him a little better.
Thank you.
As out of friendship, just like the Marine Corps.
That's a great gift to another.
No leg left behind.
This is my first time here, and hey, can we show them the Brilliant City friendship ritual we have here? Okay. Go, 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 Oof. Brilliant City! Wah!
Nice.
They do look alike and they do act alike.
They definitely do. They definitely do. Yeah. However, you guys have different ties. I'm trying to figure out which one is a better tie.
Well, that's always the question. There's a healthy degree of competition within our corporate culture, and we like that. We like to promote it because it always pushes people to be better. You know, I think that is also part of the Greek philosophical system. We always want to push our friends to be better people that they can be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't do better than that, because what you're trying to do, hopefully, is when you're pushing each other, you're building up a friendship that is mutually beneficial for becoming better, becoming more virtuous, so that actually that you can all be happy.
Well, that's the idea. And so, for example, I run Brilliant City Ties of Faith, hence the name of the show. I wanted to say the show's named after me, but whatever. But anyway.
Get on with it, Frank.
And Barney here, he's a hedge fund manager. So we work together to build our wealth, make good investments, and then we return it to our company so we can increase the profits. So it's really kind of a win for everybody. Oh yeah, it's a big win for me, for sure, totally. I get a lot of revenues, a lot of return on the investments. I'm rarely wrong.
Okay, so boys, let's let Brother Gabriel have a chance to talk about your situation. Get comfortable.
Well, and I also want to say that, I like friends who are similar to me. I don't know if you've noticed, but Barney and we have a lot of common interests.
I think we've noticed.
Oh, yeah.
You have noticed?
There's some noticed a lot of similarities between the two of you.
Well, that's Eros for you, right? You want to meet people that are similar to you. You don't want to meet some, odd ducks who's got totally different views on the world. I mean, that's not going to work.
Well, I know, sometimes opposites attract, so...
I never really understood that, but, maybe Barney does. I don't get it.
Well, let's see how this all relates to the concept of a Christian concept of friendship. Is there anything that we can talk about that? Do you think that they've got that deep level of friendship that you were talking about, the highest calling, or what is it that we could talk about to make sure that? Well, Frank is in such a positive mood. I have very rarely seen him so eager to learn something about this subject, which is really important to our modern society, especially. We've got some problems going on, it seems to me, in our modern culture.
It's true. Now, I can tell, just by the way you guys are acting together, that you really enjoy each other's company.
Oh, there we go again.
So that's a strong sense of Eros, right?
Yeah.
You enjoy each other's company.
Big time Eros. We're buds to the ends. We're pals. We're chums. It's going to be forever.
That's awesome. And you guys have a common goal, which is to make your company better.
Oh, yeah. We want to help people who work for our company and increase our bottom line.
That's right. And so to what end? What are you trying to do? Other than increase your bottom line, what are you contributing?
Well, we're employing a lot of people.
That's
and
right.
We're also we're contributing finances into the economy. So, for example, I was riding my sports car the other day and the tire blew out. I had to buy a new tire. So when I buy these expensive sports cars and houses, my house is up there, you can see we put a lot of people to work and we invest in the economy and make it grow.
And that's an important thing. Now, let me ask you, is your primary purpose to increase your wealth, or is it to promote the common good?
Did you like the program you just watched? Help Shalom World bring more programs like this to a global audience. Your support helps us share the peace of Christ with the world. Visit shalomworld.org/donate.
Now, let me ask you, is your primary purpose to increase your wealth, or is it to promote the common good? Are you trying to make a better society?
Are those mutually
You may
exclusive
pause and answer
concepts?
this. Think about it,
I had a great question. Are those mutually exclusive concepts?
Not necessarily, but what's first?
Does one have to be first? Can't they be on equal footing?
They could have an equal...
Help me out, Barney.
They could have an equal value. They could have an equal value. But one is always going to be first in our intention. We're either going to want to increase our benefit first and foremost, or increase society's benefit first and foremost. So the question is, which one is it for you?
Well, would it be possible if we brought that to the board meeting? We never really asked that question as a company, which is more important, the bottom line or the common good as understood in the wider concept of humans as we know it. So if we bring that to the board meeting, we could get back to you.
Well,
think
maybe
that's great.
Well, maybe I think
He's
Frank.
giving me something to think about.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
But because of you mentioned the board meeting and you've got these interactions with people, I'm wondering if Brother Gabriel, number one, do you have a good book that you could recommend to these wonderful friends?
Yeah, I'm a reader.
Awesome. Yeah, so before your board meeting, what you might want to do is get all those executives together and buy yourselves a couple copies of The Four Loves by C.S. Lewis. Read through that and see what he has to say about the nature of love and how that natural nature of love can be elevated to a Christian concept of love. And how they differ. How the natural concept of love, which is supposed to lead all of us to happiness, is different than the Christian notion of love, which is to lead us all to beatitude, to heaven.
Now, before you respond, Frank, I want you to keep thinking.
No, I like it. I'm on board here.
Yeah, and because I'm going to now ask Brother Gabriel, there's something that I'm sensing about the our modern culture that's really damaging the ability to be really true Christian type friends. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Absolutely, Irv. The very foundation of all of this, within each of us, God has placed a desire for intimacy. We're intimate with our families, with our friends, with our bodies even. The entire human society is built off of this desire for intimacy, and God has placed that in us, primarily for Him, secondarily for all the things that He created. And so we can get confused. We can confuse those two things. Which is first, God or God's creation? Now, within God's creation, there's also levels. There's our family, there's our close friends, there's our associates. There's people that we never get a chance to meet in real life, but nowadays that we only get to meet in a virtual way.
Such as what, emails or?
Email, Facebook, all the different social media, that's one example, there's many. But the problem is not these different media of building intimacy, building friendships. It's how we use them and what order we place them in. So, for some people nowadays, what's most important in their life seems to be getting a larger Facebook following.
True.
Or a Twitter following.
Yeah, that's true.
That's right. Instead of going out and actually meeting people, being with them, suffering with them, struggling with them, side by side, holding their hand.
Face to face.
Face to face.
That's my phone. Where's my phone? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sheesh.
See, this is another perfect example. How many times do you go to church and people's phones start going off all the time? Now,
oh yeah, true.
Sometimes it's simply because of forgetfulness, but I know that there are some people that they'll never turn their phone off. So you have a conversation with them at the dinner table, their cell phone goes off, they put a pause on the conversation that's in front of them, across from the table, have a conversation on the cell phone, or just pull it out and do a couple text messages while you're supposed to be having a heart-to-heart conversation. I don't know how that makes you feel, but that doesn't really make me feel like a friend.
I don't think that was what God's intention was when He brought us here to be intimate with each other, like you said, in a meaningful way.
That's right, and that's
a deeper way.
That's the key, is that meaningful way. What is that purpose? What is it based upon? So I have a desire for God, I have a desire for you. I have a desire for human society. Come together in friendship, come together in mutual cause to build a better society. For what purpose? Just to build a better society? One of these days the sun's going to explode and there isn't going to be a better society.
You can't do the headbutt ritual online. 1, 2, 3, wow!
And that's a huge disadvantage. You can't do the headbutt ritual online. You can bump though. You can like, you can poke, you can do all sorts of things.
It's not the same.
But it ain't the same, that's right.
So I'm thinking that the two of you guys that do look alike, and I know you probably spend some time, maybe you doing some friendly things like counting your money together or something, and who's got the highest stack of financial assets. But I know, it's hard to say that, but I'm going to say it to you guys because I think it's your turn now. If you want to have a chance to talk to Brother Gabriel about some things that might be on your mind, maybe you could have a little insight.
Absolutely. Barney's he's got to run now. He's got to go get that book, and we got a board meeting next week, so he's going to read it, and we're going to do that. And then I got a question for Brother Gabriel.
All right,
see you later, Barney. Get out of here.
Take it easy, Barney.
Christmas.
Okay, so anyway, that's Barney, and we're buddies to the end. My concern is, I was told that with each level of this friendship concept in the Greek system, there's a kind of a virtue and a vice. So me and Barney, we have this, I guess you would call it a filial type of friendship, and our mission is, to build this company. Is that virtuous, or is that more on the vice side of things? And also, is Barney an appropriate friend? Is he the type of friend that is good for me to have?
What do you think?
Well, simply speaking, it could go either way. It could go either way. A lot of it has to depend on you. What matters is what I asked previously, to what end? So if this company was built just to increase your wealth, then it might be towards the side of vice. But if this company was built to better all of society, to better the common good, and not just simply for you to be able to spend money on a big house and sports cars and whatnot, but actually to pay living wages and contribute to the society in different sorts of benefaction, then it's a good company. Then your cause is more just. It's a better cause than simply to increase your own benefits.
So maybe it's not black and white, but more of kind of a spectrum of understanding.
Yeah, it's a sliding scale. It's definitely a sliding scale.
So Frank,
Yeah.
I do have a question about this virtue versus vice thing.
Okay.
Do you pay your employees a living wage?
Well,
We're
and on top
working
of
on
that,
We're,
on top of that,
yeah.
He's
as
uncomfortable.
Christians, we have a greater call, which is not simply to love with these natural forms of love, but God has infused in our soul, through baptism, the virtue of charity, the theological virtue of charity, His love. And so we're called to love everybody, not as we would love them, but as God loves them. Those are all of our employees, all of our coworkers, all of our peers, our family members, those people that we meet on the street.
That's good. Well, let's leave it there, Brother Gabriel. That's plenty for my pal here to think about. So thank you so much for coming. It's been Mark. He's still thinking about things.
You've got that board meeting.
Yeah.
Take it to the board.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna read the book with my buddy Barney, and you've given me a lot to think about.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
We're going to bid you farewell.
All right,
Thank you so
Ervin.
much for coming, Brother
All right.
Gabriel.
Blessings
God
to you.
bless you. Same to you.
Thanks again, Brother Gabriel.
All right, take it easy.
Bye-bye. Well, I'll tell you, well, sweat it out. But
Little
what
sweat on the brow here.
what I learned from Brother Gabriel was our call to be deep, loving, virtuous friends for each other instead of surfacey kind of people that really just kind of make a passing glance at true friendship.
Yeah, called to raise each other to higher levels of intimacy with each other and with God. I mean, that's the technical layout of how it should play out. We got some work to do over at the factory.
Yeah, okay, good. Glad you're thinking about
Gonna
it.
read that book, and I'll let you know how it goes.
Well, we're running out of time, but in the meantime, don't forget those ties of faith.